know that every year I have the opportunity to go with y'all on the visits and on
Yes.
the allocations team, and it's every year I learn something new. And so, could you just share for the public about the allocations
Sure.
committee and what's done not only in Clewiston but LaBelle and in Moorhaven as well?
Sure. Each year, our United Way evaluates the agencies that we fund. They apply for funding in July, and every year in August, we take 5 teams out in Hendry and Glades counties. They do site visits at each agency, and they review their financial information, what their outcomes are, and how they're serving the community. It's a great opportunity for us to ensure that they have a Hendry and Glades board member on their team, and it's a great way for us to hear from clients that are receiving services from their agency as well. So thank you for participating in that. We're actually looking for a city staff person to come and be on our Clewiston team this year, so hopefully we'll get that straightened out here in the next few days. But it's a great opportunity for us to make sure our funding is going to good use.
Okay.
So
All right. Well,
thank you so
thanks
much.
Again. Appreciate it. And thank Cliff and Hannah for us as well. Okay. Next item on the agenda is a rescheduling of the zoning land use change request for Mr. Patel.
Are we going to do a motion to accept the consent?
The recommended motion, I'm sorry.
We're going to do a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll do that, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. Thanks, thank you to the Commissioner Peterson for reminding me. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the recommended motion is to reschedule the public hearing for August the 6th, 2018 on the request for zoning land use change request from Mr. Patel, ordinance number 2018-05. And this was because the public hearing date due to advertising deadlines had to be August the 6th.
So moved.
Second.
On motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2018-19 approves and authorizes the mayor to sign an assignment of easement agreement, bill of sale, and closing statement for the transfer of the McCarthy Station to Florida Power and Light Company. The financial impact is $326,585.10. The attachments are the resolution, the bill of sale, the assignment and assumption agreement, owner's affidavit, commitment for title insurance. The recommended motion is to approve resolution number 2018-19, a resolution of the City of Clewiston, Florida, approving an assignment of easement agreement, bill of sale, and closing statement for the transfer of the McCarthy Station to Florida Power and Light Company. Whereas the City of Clewiston previously entered an agreement for the sale of the McCarthy substation to Florida Power and Light, whereas the parties have now agreed on the form of documentation for the sale and the closing date. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida as follows. Section 1, the attached assignment and assumption agreement is hereby approved and substantially the form attached hereto. Section 2, the attached bill of sale is hereby approved and substantially the form attached hereto. Section 3, that the mayor is authorized and signed and directed to sign the assignment and assumption agreement, the bill of sale, the closing statement when prepared and approved by the city attorney. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion. Is there anything else we need to add to this, Gary, before we finalize it? Okay. Any questions at all? Okay, I have a motion, and all in favor. Any opposed? Motion carries. The city advertised for bids for the police department building renovation project on June 8th, 2018 on VIA bid notification system and on June 14th in the Clewiston News. The bids were received and opened on July the 10th. The total base bids ranged from $414,161 to $661,037. The total base bid with alternates range from $564,161 to $746,418. Al, there's a recommendation for staff, so I'm going to turn it over to you on this.
Yes, staff's recommendation is to award the low bidder to Borromeo Construction without the alternates. The alternates, which was the roof, basically. The bid actually comes within budget, but we feel it's just too close for change orders and such, so our recommendation is to award to the low bidder without the alternates.
Okay.
And as we get closer to the end of the project, if it goes smoothly and we don't have the change orders, Borromeo suggested that we go back out for roof quotes at that time. He thinks the the economy may, they said the roofers are just so busy right now, they're just backed up. Roofing prices are all over the board is is that right, Chief?
Yes,
So he spoke to him today about that.
Okay. And I know there's some documents that we were provided for staff, and I believe if anybody has any questions, or Gary, if you had a chance to review those, and if there's any topic or comments that you need to make on this.
Well, I'd like the motion to indicate that it's subject to verification of the general contractor's workman's compensation insurance.
Thank you.
Is there anything else?
That's all. I just for a note for you, of course, I have not verified any of his past experience or anything of that nature.
Okay. And Al, has all his previous or his references been verified?
Correct, they have.
Okay. And there isn't anything that would show concern?
We didn't find anything.
Okay.
One of the projects that was mentioned was he built the Center State Bank building in Okeechobee.
And is that the only project he's actually built? I know I looked through the documents and it showed that there was a lot of water projects, so I wasn't sure if there was, and I might have missed something, but was Center State the only reference that we called?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Chief, go ahead.
yes, ma'am. I also talked to Eddie Muse with the architectural firm, who said also that gave him a very positive reference as well. And I spoke to the construction company also, and they've been around. And speaking with the bank, she said that they've been doing business with them for 20 plus years now, and we're always happy with their work and never had any concerns with their craftsmanship or the quality of their work. When I spoke to the construction company, found out that they had actually been in business since 1989, and that they started out in vertical construction, but then kind of steered more towards a lot of water reclamation projects and wastewater treatment and stuff like that. But when they originally started, that was where they were at, was in vertical construction. So in talking to everyone, I seen no concerns, and there was no indication to me that they wouldn't be able to complete the project as outlined in the bid package, and that they wouldn't be able to do it on time.
Okay. Any questions from the commission? Okay. Any other comments? Al, is there anything else to add to this? Okay, so what I'm hearing is that the recommendation is to go with the base bid of $414,161. Sherry, just to make sure that, I know that it's been stated that there's, the grant funding is available to cover that base bid of $414,161.
Yes, we've got $604,000
Okay.
in grant funds available.
Okay, all right. Okay, we've heard from the recommendation on the staff and the background, and the attorney recommends to award the base bid to Borromeo Construction in the total amount, staff recommends to award the base bid to Borromeo Construction in the total amount of $414,161. This represents the base bid, and with the attorney's recommendation, subject to workman's comp insurance verification for Borromeo Construction Incorporated. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2018-20, if the Police Department building renovation project is awarded, Resolution 2018-20 is needed to approve an agreement between the City of Clewiston and Borromeo Construction Incorporated for the Clewiston Police Department renovation, with authorization for the mayor to sign. Resolution number 2018-20, a resolution of the City of Clewiston, Florida, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Clewiston and Borromeo Construction Incorporated. Whereas the City of Clewiston advertised for bids for the Police Department building renovation project, and whereas the city has awarded the project to Borromeo Construction Incorporated, and where it is now necessary for the commission to authorize the execution of an agreement between the City of Clewiston and Borromeo Construction Incorporated. Therefore, be resolved that the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, as follows. Section 1, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute the attached agreement between the City of Clewiston and Borromeo Construction Incorporated for the Clewiston Police Department renovation.
And that's provided everything pans out.
And all of this has been reviewed. You
Yes.
reviewed it all. And if there's anything else that we need to add to this, or anything else that you're concerned about with this agreement?
No.
Okay. All right, recommended motion is to approve resolution number 2018-20.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Award of the 2018 sidewalk improvement project. The city advertised for bids for the 2018 sidewalk improvement project on June 21st. One bid in the amount of $50,234.30 from Lynch Paving and Construction Company was received and opened on July 11th, 2018.
Mayor, can I interrupt you here? Because we have a new recommendation.
Okay, and I believe that Sean's here as well. I had some
Yes.
questions, so, yes, we would like to hear the recommendation.
Well, after talking with Commissioner Atkinson today, the for the linear footage of this project, and we only received one bid, we don't think it's a real strong number. I'd like to see us re-advertise this. What we were going to recommend is approve the bid for Lynch, and then after October 1, re-budget another $25,000 for sidewalk repairs, so it'll come within budget. But we think we can get this number down.
Okay. Sean, I had some questions for you on this, because, in the packet, when we had this information, we didn't have the picture that we have now.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying that the 2018, but this is only one project?
Yes. This
Okay.
This is the
Are there
sidewalk project to connect US 27 and Caribbean
Right.
and the businesses along that section of North Burner Road.
But I also understand that FDOT is going to be doing some work in that intersection as well.
That is correct. They are putting sidewalks down both north and south side of US 27. South side tying into San Luis and then taking San Luis all the way down to Alvarez. On the north side, they are tying into the sidewalk in front of the McDonald's and taking it over to the west side of Burner, tying it in there and proceeding northward to the entrance into the mobile gas station. Our project picks up right there and continues down to Caribbean.
Okay.
Yeah, just so everyone's clear, we had $25,000 budgeted for various sidewalk work.
Right.
This was a new project that came to the table that we thought was important, so we went out to bid hoping it would come closer to within budget, and it did not. So, this,
Well, to me, I think it has to be within budget. I mean, it looks like it's something that needs to be done, but we really need to look at all the projects for sidewalks and, reassess that. Maybe we can prioritize them. So I guess the recommendation is to reject this bid on the 2018 sidewalk improvement project because there is not enough funds in the budget for this project.
right,
There's only $25,000. This bid came in at $50,234.30.
correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Scott, on this sidewalk, can the sidewalk not go straight next to Tractor Supply? I know we got two catch basins. I didn't know if we could put maybe a wall and put some handrail around it and make that a straight shot.
There's a lot of elevation changes with ditches along the side of the road on that side. So it was difficult, and the Public Works Department suggested that we went to the west side. It's a much simpler, flatter area to work in. It gets you further off the roadway as well. But it could be done over there. It would just be a lot more complicated to get it done over there, I think.
So you believe that the bid would be higher on something like that?
I think so. There's a lot more earthwork involved. It would become a drainage project. We'd have to do something with the drainage there to maintain drainage while we had a sidewalk on top.
Would this project, I know that would it not be part of Safe Schools? I mean, that's kids crossing the highway, going to the school? It's just something to think about. I know that we have to reject tonight's bid, but as we look at this project and look at the other projects, if we can see any of that could be a possibility.
I could look into it, but I'm not sure that it would fall into those categories because of the distance it is away from the school.
All right. Okay. All right. There is a motion. Is there a motion to reject the bid? I have a motion. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Approval of the truth and millage trim documents information to be transmitted to the Hendry County Property Appraiser by August the 4th, 2018. Turn it over to Sherry, our Finance Director.
As part of the trim process, that's truth in millage, the annual forms that we are responsible for transmitting to the property appraiser by August the 4th, where we provide them with our proposed millage rate for the forthcoming budget. What I'm here to do is ask you today for the rate that you would like us to transmit to them on our forms. The current millage rate is 6.5314. Rolled back rate is 6.2382. On July 1st, the property appraiser certified our gross taxable value at $232,290,851. This is up from last year by about $14 million, a little over $14 million. It was $218,000 and something last year. And it generated about our ad valorem taxes are $1,300,000 in our current budget. With the current millage rate, it would generate $1,517,184. The rolled back rate of 6.2382 would be $1,449,077.
Which is a variance or
Of
reduction of
$68,109.
Yes. Okay.
From the current millage rate.
Okay.
So it's commission discretion.
Okay. All right. I know that it's not a surprise that I'm not in favor of raising taxes. I'm not in favor of. I know last year I did not vote in favor of the millage rate that we currently have, but I do know that there are requirements that we have to maintain. I do believe that the rollback rate at this point is the right thing to do. Keeping in mind that we have additional, we have an increase of our property values.
And we also have some expenses too that are coming in the current in the next fiscal year, and we can't put a price tag on them yet. And I do have a little bit of concern. I was reading an article that was sent to me that talked about that. Everything's increasing, and I'm not telling you guys what to do, but everything is increased, as far as the cost of doing business. But we have maintained for a long time, and, there are some expenses such as insurance. We have no idea with some of the catastrophes that happen across the world. It's the whole world that they're telling you to take into consideration. There's been like fires and hurricanes, and we don't really have that cost yet.
And we were very lucky last year. I was the one who asked for the increase last year. I was the one who made the motion, and I said at that time that I was looking at a 5-year window. That I said we need to take a look at having that increase, and I am still firmly planted on the 6.5314. I would love to say we could go back to the rollback rate, but we are just not there at this point. We are still looking about building up some of the reserves and things, and we just...
Okay. And I believe that the last several years, or many years, for at least 3 to 4 years, that we have become more efficient. We don't know what to expect. But I believe that when we went up last year, I didn't support it, but it happened, and so as I look at this year and I look at the millage rate is a difference of $68,000, I believe that we can live within the funds that are coming in. They're still higher than they were last year. That's my opinion. So is there Al, is there anything else that you'd like to add, or?
No, staff's gonna work within whatever budget you allow us to have. So there are some repairs that need to be done. The AC at the John Boys went out twice in the last month. We did get it back in operation, but it's just continuous problems. I mean, you've got the plumbing line at the John Boy we still haven't addressed yet, and there's no telling what that's gonna run into. My brother's calling me right in the middle of my... But, yeah, we've got leaky roofs that
There's a number of things that we need to still look at.
But last year, I remember that we stayed within the lower millage rate to balance the budget. Is that not correct? Last year, we didn't go up.
Yes, correct. No, that's correct.
Okay, all right.
The additional was in
And we
contingency.
did have capital improvement projects. And again, I know that tonight's not the final.
Right.
I know that we have to send this in to the county for the property appraiser office required by August the 4th. So this is the only time. I know that we can have this discussion later about reducing, going back with a rollback rate or versus keeping the current millage rate. So I know, but for sending in the documents, a decision has to be made tonight.
I would make the motion that we send a trim notice in stating that we are going to keep that 6.5314 at this point.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. At this time, any persons allowed to speak on any matter that pertains to city business. If you would like to come forward and state your name for the record. See. Edson, yeah, you raised your hand, so I.
Raul Battelle. I'm just curious. I just want to know about water availability, drinking water. Is there a problem? This is what we have reserves for because wells can be extremely expensive little things to patch up. But I want to know where the water being drunk that looks yellow. Well, it might be fixed pretty soon, but maybe I'm premature here. But is it coming from the lake? It better, or is it coming from?
No. We'll
Or
let
I
our-
want to know
we'll-
if it's coming from the Floridan aquifer like it's supposed to.
Yes.
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 Yes,
It's coming from
absolutely.
the backup well.
Okay. And so,
Okay.
Danny, if you just want to, since he's asked a question, if you'll just update everybody on the work that's being done.
We should be back online tomorrow. What happened? We took a well offline, and it's been out for about 3 weeks. So, in that time, we lost another well, which put us at about 50% capacity. So, what we ended up doing, I worked with U.S. Sugar to blend the water, and that kept us.
This is all the deep, the
It's
Florida
yes,
aquifer
yes,
wells.
Yes.
And
They have a different
they
type
all were
plant
installed.
that
They were all
produces
installed.
type water.
Right,
Yes.
and they were all installed
it's
at the same
just a
time.
cosmetic. The water is fine. It's
Okay.
tested by DEP.
DEP's tested the water, and
Yes.
you said that we should be up soon.
Tomorrow.
So I know that the testing, there had to be testing on the new wells,
Yes.
and so
We're
were those
going to
done?
have to test the existing wells because the two that went down were improperly installed.
Okay.
That's why they came apart. And that's
And
what
when were
happened.
they installed?
When the plant was installed, 10 years
That was-
ago. They've just been banging around and damaged the cables, the motors.
Okay.
So the more we dug into it, the worse it got. And that's what took so long to get it where it is today. And plus the crews were having some issues.
Okay.
But we
So-
should be fine. Once.
So just to reiterate again what you said, the DEP, the water's been tested
Yes.
previously, currently.
Yes.
The new wells have also those testing.
Our wells get tested once a year,
Okay.
and they've been tested.
Right, but
By
I'm
an
saying,
independent contractor.
Yes.
but what I'm saying is about the well that's going on, the new wells, or the ones that have been, the new wells that are going on now.
Hey,
Those wells had to be tested.
Yes.
Okay, so what about
We're-
those
we're-
test results?
That's what we're doing. The test results went out today. Went this morning and this afternoon.
Okay.
So will know something tomorrow morning.
So there's a requirement for 2 tests on each
10
well?
total. But
10
if we
total.
pass the first 2,
Okay,
we'll be fine.
okay.
We can proceed
And when will we have that information?
tomorrow.
So tomorrow we'll know about putting on
Yes.
the new wells?
Yeah, and we should
Okay.
be back
So
on.
that we don't have to use a backup well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the water is fine.
Okay.
I've received one phone call to ask me about the water. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, if there was an issue with the drinking water, there's a whole new protocol that we have to go through to alert the public,
Yes.
and that we would have absolutely done that if there was a problem.
Okay.
There was no need to send anything out. I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's just some people want to make big deals of, it's.
Right, well, the color did change, so some people
It
saw
did.
that as
It did.
the
It's at
tannins
my
were higher,
house.
so,
I'm drinking it every day.
okay. All
Every
right.
day.
Okay, Raul, does that answer your question?
You know,
Watch out with his water.
No, it's empty.
Okay.
it's not an old subject. In the last 2 years or so, the Water Management District there have been horror stories about what's in that lake, pouring down from all those septic things around. And just the thought,
No, we quit pulling from the lake back in 2007, I believe, is the actual date. And we've
story, really.
December of 2000.
yeah, but I mean we're not. But there are other communities around the lake that are still pulling from Lake Okeechobee. We're not one of them.
No,
You know,
we're pulling from wells.
Right.
The water is fine.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I know I don't want to open up a can of worms here, but Raul, since you've asked the question, I think that, I know Danny's really good about taking folks out to just learn a little bit more about our utilities and what's going on. I'd like to offer him up and Al to take you out so you can see what we have.
Sure. I do it. I got a 10 o'clock appointment tomorrow.
Well, I don't know when maybe he can get with you after the meeting. But, the question was asked, so thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Cochran?
Thank you. I know y'all don't get a whole lot of thank yous, so I wanted to give you one. The fireworks show this year was terrific. Thank you very much.
Jerry, thank you. And I know that Sean and his team put a lot of effort into it. And I know he has plans for next year. So appreciate you thanking the guys.
Food trucks were a hit this year. We're going to have them full force next year. We're going to try to schedule them ahead of time.
Perfect. It is a great time to celebrate this country. So thank you. Okay, Mr. Atala?
Yes, I have several issues. First of all, in the laundromat, I have a problem with the pressure of the water. I'm losing 50% of my business the last 2 or 3 years. We been promised since we opened. I have engineers, people experts. They came and checked test the water, and the pressure of water not even 30% which is supposed to have the pressure of water.
Okay.
I present the plans and I get approved by the city. So when I pay the impact fee of the washers, I should have the service of water and electric enough to run my business. Unfortunately, the last 2 or 3 years, I've been doing improvement myself, bringing plumbers, put the booster pump. Unfortunately, it's not working.
Mr. Atala, this is the first time you come to us to tell us about these problems, or have you talked just to...
So Mr. Danny, I went to Kevin before, and I mentioned that personally to them. I thought that's the solution. That's why I'm coming today.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
One of the things here, he's got 26 machines on a 2-inch water line, and it feeds his whole community. But what we're trying to do, I talked to Scott the other day, we're going to try to extend the 8-inch line when we do the PD.
Okay.
We're going to shoot under
And
here.
when is that project scheduled to be done?
Alan J.
Yeah.
J project.
So
we're going to add that to him. But I mean, he's fully aware that he's got a 2-inch water line.
Okay, so you said he has 26. Is that what there's a...
And I
he
think
said
you paid impact fees on 13.
No, sir. I get the letter. I paid it. Unfortunately, somebody there not organized. They don't show with all my respect.
I mean,
I have a letter that I have it that I paid the impact fee for the 26.
For 26, okay. So will you look into that and make
Yeah.
sure, Al, to make sure that we have that? Okay.
Yeah.
And so what time frame are we looking at to...
Whenever Alan J starts, I mean, that's kind of what we're doing, and we just added it to that project. It is an issue, and it's going to be an issue, especially when they start the apartments. And I mean, it's a 2-inch. It comes off a 4-inch, and it loops through here. And if it gets a leak in it, the pressure, the little nail salon's having issues, which I told them we were fully aware, and we're going to work on it. And we are working on it. I mean, it takes time. I mean, that's something he's, like I
So-
said, he moved there when he knew he had a 2-inch line.
Okay.
It's common sense here.
All right. So, I'm sorry, Scott. We're talking about a new 8-inch line that will help serve the fire department, this area of WCO, and then also here at Ventura.
Right.
So what are we looking as far as time frame?
We're just waiting for the go-ahead to bid the project out.
Okay.
I assume that what we're waiting on is Alan J to say, yes, go forward.
Right, because I believe that was a
They're
50/50
sharing-
request.
they're sharing in
cost
that
sharing.
project.
Okay. Okay.
Can we get with Alan J this week and find out if If they're good for us to go ahead and go out for bid and start the water line?
We haven't heard from them in a while now. Right, Travis, we just talked about this morning or yesterday when
Okay, well, but I think Commissioner Atkinson, Vice Mayor Atkinson brings up a good point. Let's contact them tomorrow and let's see where we're at, okay?
Because if they're gonna drag their feet for another year on building this
Okay.
dealership, then we can look at
Second
something
issue,
different.
I've been paid $670 the license of the laundry. The other three laundromats, they just pay $50 a year. I've been paying for 11 years, $670. And the code for a self-service laundromat is a $50 a year license, but I've been paid $670. I
Okay.
need an explanation for that too.
All right, well, Al, if you,
I have
if
no
Mr.
idea. I'll
Atala,
have to-
can you do me a favor? Can you write your phone number down and we'll have
I've
Al.
got it. I've got a note to call Edson. I haven't had a chance to call
Okay.
him. He came by yesterday or whenever it was.
Yeah, no problem.
Friday.
I went to the city. I will try to discuss it and bring it to attention through Al or through somebody.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, I have to come
Okay,
myself.
so let's
get
get
it-
it,
I'll
let's,
get back with-
let's
if
give
I
him
have
an
to walk
answer
across the
tomorrow on this,
Yeah.
and find out exactly where the difference is and why.
The other issue, I've been on the corner at the 215 West Ventura Avenue, and as my lease determinated, my understanding from Travis that I have the only right to have the grandfather alcohol license in the corner because it's not even 250 feet from the church across the street. They've been two people purchased that business and they tried to get the license and been denied because the zoning and by code they should have 500 feet between the church and the door. Unfortunately, a third person came. I don't know how it happened and why it happened.
Okay.
If it's the code enforcement in the beginning being denied 1-2 times, what it being approved lately?
Okay, and I have
Is
no.
it three issues?
Okay, so you're talking, give me the address again. You said 215 West Ventura
Yeah, the
Avenue?
pedicure. Yes, the
Okay.
pedicure store. They have the
I'm sorry,
license.
the who license?
The pedicure.
PDQ?
No, the
PDQ.
the convenience store.
The convenience store on the
The
corner?
convenience store,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
They're not
Okay.
supposed to have a license because I'm the only grandfather. If I go back to this business or if I write it over to somebody else, I've been offered $50,000 to sell the right. I denied it because I've been kicked out. I'm not going to raise anybody else. Even though I came to the board commission here for a special exemption for 106, because I'm not far enough from the church, I've been denied.
Okay.
So why we are, I'm considering that all of us, we are equal rights from anybody. When the law code enforcement for one, it's for everybody, not for, we can't do a selective law enforcement to nobody.
Okay, so your request, I'll have the attorney look at that because you're saying that the business has a alcohol license?
Approved alcohol license with a new owner. I never signed, I never authorized, I never gave any permission to nobody to use my name as a grandfather in this corner. So it's happened, I don't know why. It's been denied twice the last 7 years from the new tenants. They've been rent there, but now it has happened. Somebody else approved it, I don't know why. But by zoning, they have to be 500 feet from the church.
Okay, I'll have the attorney look at that and see what the code says and go
Well,
from there. I don't know if it's 250 or 500, I don't know what the.
It's
that is.
500 feet from the church, 1,500 feet from the schools.
Okay, and I remember that you had come to the commission years ago, but I'm not sure about grandfathering.
You can't transfer a grandfathered license.
Okay, so we'll have the attorney look at that. Travis, you know exactly what Mr. Atala is talking about. If you and the attorney can talk about this tomorrow, so that when Al calls Mr. Atala, we can get an answer.
Another issue, the swell in front of the laundromat, even Al, one day we look at it, a lot of cars, they go through the car wash or through my laundromat and they fill in that swell there. And I'm the only one have this. Everybody around me, they do new construction, everybody build the new building, change ordinance and everything. There is no problem. They did it. Yeah, but I'm the only one who have that swell there, and it's really dangerous. People fell there in the cars and everything. It's
Okay,
been causing
and this well is exactly where?
between me and the storage, between the laundromat 301 commercial and the storage units.
Okay, all right. Al, you have to get, I guess, Sean and look at it from
I'll
a
look at
drainage
it again.
perspective,
We've
what's
looked at
going
it
on there.
before.
Okay.
Another thing, the city make me pave the alley of the city, cost me $11,600 to use the parking lot in the back of that building, the first building. And I don't know if this is property of the city, belong to the city. They make me cut the corner of the building, been for 40 years existing building. When I change the use of that, they make me cut the whole corner. I don't cut it. The lawyer, because the mistake of the lawyer, Mr. Perez and his partner, they had to pay the $3,000. But to pave the alley of the city, I don't feel it's not fair. I paid $11,600 to pave the alley of the city.
Okay, and I don't, without going back and looking at it, I don't know, and without having the attorney look at it, I don't know. We'd have to research it and get back with you as well. I mean, if you could do that.
All right.
Okay.
That's it.
Is there anything else?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So from what I can see from your remarks, there's 6 issues that we have that Mr. Atala has brought up to us that we need to look and get an answer to him. Okay? Okay. You're more than welcome to stay, but you can leave if you like. Okay. All right. Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. Laura Smith, 206 Ridgewood. An issue came up in my line of work about 10 days ago during the days leading up to a closing of a property. When the survey came out, the title company sent the information to the lender, and the lender said we needed a clear Alt-9 form which removes encroachments on the survey. Lucky for us, the encroachment was just a fence. We approached the neighbor and asked him to please remove his fence. It was 9.5 feet inside of the property that was about to close. He refused. He said no, he inherited the property. So I went down to Building and Zoning and asked what the procedure was. Was it a permit? It was permitted for previous owners. It was a licensed and insured company that did it. However, during somewhere in the code, the requirement to have the survey stakes visible and put in by a surveyor was taken out of the code for expediency's sake or whatever sake. I don't know how long ago it was. Am I correct, Travis? It was good ways. It's been a good while ago. And I believe what they did on some of these lots that are not square and conforming, there's the light pole, or there's the electric pole, or there's the telephone, straight shot down the side. So needless to say, that could have put somebody's sale in jeopardy. I know you're going to have some issues coming before you in the next couple of weeks / months that are going to bring up this issue. And I'd say just because it was a fence, easy fix. I know we've changed it for fences on easements and city right-of-ways with access for the city, and we get approval, and that can be taken down if the city needs to get in there. Right. However, I would caution very strongly of permanent structures that come before Planning and Zoning and the City Commission that are allowed to stay on easements and rights-of-ways and encroach on somebody else's property. Because it may not happen, but it could in the future when that person comes to sell a property, that could be a problem for them to sell it if the lender who's representing the buyer refuses to allow a clear title to it.
So Laura, what you're saying is that the city has allowed people to put permanent structures on somebody else's property?
There may be some. We may not catch some because the lenders don't, but I believe there may be a situation coming before you in my neighborhood in the next couple of weeks / months that may fit this scenario. I'm just waiting for a survey to come.
Okay. Right.
Just, when you've got a shed that can be lifted up and moved out the way, it's different than when someone throws a slab and puts a permanent structure in there.
Right. They have to have a permit for Travis, can you explain it just to make sure, because I'm a little confused here.
Ms. Smith is talking about. To the fence issue, we used to require a survey every time a fence went up. It was a little bit burdensome. We heard from a lot of our citizens that said, look, if I can find my stakes, I've had it surveyed 3 times in the past, let me put them up and you can see them and I'll put my fence in compliance. So we allow that. But she's talking about if you've got one that's got a curve, it's possible that I as a inspector may not know that curve exists or there's a radius. We've run into a couple issues, but it is the owner's responsibility if they put it not on their property or within the easement, they'd have to move it.
Right. So we're talking about a fence. But,
a fence.
But
now,
Laura's bringing up a permanent structure.
Totally different. Accessory structures, additions, anything like that, I have to require a permit because they're added value to the property. We have to know for sure that they're where they're located. So that the commission hasn't changed. You still require a site plan and a survey for that. The only thing that's changed, we have the option. You left us the option. We can, if we see it's a curve lot, and I have suspicion, then yes, we could say, nope, get a survey. But for the most part, on an existing lot where the owner says, I can go out, find my pins, stake it, pull a string line, whatever they need to do, we allow it without one.
Okay.
But permanent structures, sheds, got to have a survey. We will accept an older survey if the home substantially reflects what was there when the survey was done. Meaning I can pull from that existing structure and get a reasonable location of the new building or proposed new building.
Okay.
I think it runs with code enforcement if you have carports being converted to sheds, garages converted to housing structures that fit different parts of the code. I think we might find, and just for people's information, it does seriously affect the value and the marketability of a property if you have those encroachments which may encroach on somebody else's property or side setbacks. Because when the survey does get pulled and it suddenly becomes part of the living area without permitting, things like that. Because we know there's a lot of freestanding carports being converted into enclosed structures. So it's just something worthy of note. Because if they're not, even if a eave overhangs and it turns up on the neighbor's survey, it could cause a problem. You don't want to go 6 or 8 years from now and go to the next owner and say, by the way, we're cutting off 6 foot of your property because it's now hanging over mine. So just a cautionary tale. We're finding a few little holes in there. I don't want to criticize too much because things seem to be getting better. And one last thing on Danny's point about the water. I wasn't in town when the water thing happened, but this wonderful Facebook page that we have going right now, which probably people love or hate, is kind of interesting. I'm always a proponent of, if something happens, put out information to allay people's fears, because our minds work overtime, and with all the Lake Otis charges to the coast, people do go into sort of hyper excited status and start thinking the worst of everything. So I just think that, during the hurricane, it was very helpful with Christine. I was told if the Titanic was going down, I want her to tell me what it's going to look like in heaven or hell, whichever way I'm going. But just that comforting thing to let them know that the city's in control, they have an overview, you don't have to give too much to say the water is safe, it's blah, 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 whatever it is. And I think you'll find at least 80% of that will just go away.
Okay.
The speculation's not good.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Mr. Brandenburg?
No comment.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else? There's nothing tonight that you needed to add? Okay.
I do not.
All right. Al?
I'm good.
Okay.
I do have one thing. Commissioner Peterson asked me to look into the incident command, possibly restructuring that, and we have a meeting Wednesday with the new emergency management director, and myself and Travis and the chief and the assistant chief. So we are moving forward with that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Anything else? And I think you have a public sorry, Lisa, go ahead. I didn't realize you wanted to come up and speak.
Well, I don't like to publicly speak because it makes me nervous, but I just wanted to say great job on Saturday with hosting the counter protest, or don't use the word counter protest, but welcoming the protesters from the coast. There was a lot of great feedback about Clewiston being welcoming and open arms, and I think we really showed out and did a good job. And you spoke really well, Mayor Molly, and so did Raymond and
Scott.
Scott. All right. Yeah. All right. So I just want to say good job.
Thank you. There wasn't anything else that you needed to add as far as, okay. Christine? No, ma'am. Okay. Mikey? Okay. All right.
Mayor, I'd like to add something.
Yes.
About the McCarthy substation. That's another topic that's kind of going around. The McCarthy substation provided back in the day the tariffs, and those tariffs are no longer in place. This substation is coming into life, which is going to cost millions. The city of Clewiston did not maintain the substation. We just paid for it. So I just want the public to be aware of that this station has always been maintained by FP&L, not the city of Clewiston. We just pay the bills. If something breaks, they give us a phone call, we got to pay it. And I just don't think that's good business. I don't want to spend millions when I can make $300,000 for the city.
Well, and I think the decision was made several months ago, after discussion. I think we each had interviews with FMPA. We went over the issues, and then we voted on it as a commission of what needed to be done, and with a recommendation from them as well as from city staff. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's not anything else, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Motion?
Motion.
Second. Meeting adjourned.